function. Gotta walk through a fire for what's important. And the warrior's blood through your veins is coursing.
He goes outside. He's got Ledford with him. Chris Blassie is going to win it at the line here in Daytona.
Every move, take your shot, don't be a fool. All you got and all you ever need is one bullet in the chamber.
Drive up into him, can Kuntz hang on to it off the corner? Kuntz gets it!
It's one bullet in the chamber. Ready to take a aim, boy. Ain't nobody gonna save you. So what you
Drivers side by side, coming out of turn 4, Rapp with the 52 on the outside, the 99 to the inside. Rapp's gonna win it at Auto Club.
So what you gonna do?
If it's Tuesday, that means it's the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance from Slingshot Racing League. Welcome everybody, I'm Ellis Thomas alongside Chris Smith in the booth tonight. We're bringing you live racing action in the NASCAR trucks from Homestead-Miami Speedway for the Driven Bay Life 175. The Homestead-Miami Speedway owes its existence to a natural disaster. Building the circuit was a key part of plans to help the city of Homestead rebound after the devastation caused by Hurricane Andrew in 1992. The new facility was a colorful addition to the racing scene thanks to its brightly painted buildings and walls, which mirrored the aqua, purple, and silver Art Deco style of old Miami. But there was a significant problem. The racing, in truth, actually wasn't very good. The Indianapolis-style four-corner layout didn't scale well down to Homestead's smaller size. Instead, the sharp, flat turns and aprons made passing difficult, and it lowered the overall speed. Engineers had to scramble to reconfigure the flat track to a more oval-like layout, but that even wouldn't be enough to take the racing to the next level. In 2003, the second major rebuilding program of the oval course began with a $12 million rebanking project that transformed the track from a flat 60 degrees to a computer-designed 18 to 20 degree variable banking in the turns, which we're going to talk about later. That reprofile turned the track into an iconic marker on the NASCAR schedule where the bravest can quote-unquote rip the wall at nearly 200 miles an hour just inches away from concrete and steel. Chris, fun fact, do you know how many palm trees there are on the grounds of Homestead-Miami Speedway?
I'm going to say north of 1,000.
You're absolutely right. Right around 1,000, a little bit more. Just as numerous, however, are the number of opportunities for drivers to make a mistake tonight. What are these drivers going to have to look out for as they look to make it all 116 laps tonight and end up at the end up front?
Well, they're going to have to look out for a lot of competition. 35 trucks here to fill out this field means that we're going to have a very, very competitive race here tonight. Expect 2 pit stops, fuel window around 47 laps. You're going to see trucks all over this track from the very, very bottom where there's just 18 degrees of banking to the top where there's 20 degrees of banking. We're going to talk about that variable banking quite a bit tonight and how it contributes to just the great racing that you see here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. A lot of tire degradation, especially if you run a certain line when there's not a lot of rubber put down on that line. So 116 laps here tonight should be a great race from beginning to end.
And speaking about the beginning, let's go ahead, knock out a fan favorite slingshot pre-race tradition, the national anthem. Everyone rise and remove your caps. We'll be back on the other end of the Star-Spangled Banner. All right, back here in Miami for the Driven Bay Life 175 from the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance. Just a couple minutes left before the start of the race. Every week we like to hit some stories during pre-race to get our fans on the same page and give you some storylines to follow. Chris, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the stories to keep an eye on tonight. The first one, all about money. Tonight is the Dash for Cash race. Last week at Talladega, which was an amazing finish, by the way. If you haven't seen it, go ahead, check it out on our YouTube. Check out our social media. We posted some reels and shorts of it. But Josh Ward won a thriller, and he, along with 5 other drivers, qualified for the Dash for Cash tonight. The way that works is out of those 6 drivers, which is Josh Ward, the 25 of Scott Tompkins, Thomas Coonan, Jay Haishman, Sean Johnson, and the 9 of Patrick Colby, the top finisher of those drivers tonight automatically wins $25, Chris. And what happens if one of those drivers goes on to victory lane at the end of the night?
They get a little bit of a bonus on top of that, don't they?
Double their money to $50. So there is some cash on the line tonight thanks to our partners and friends over at Apex Energy Drink. So that's a big story. But with that, who can catch Josh Ward? That was his second win on the season, won the opener in Auto Club. And just looking at the points, he's got an 8-point lead on Randy Bechtel, who we've seen have an amazing season so far. So Josh Ward and Randy Bechtel, I think we're setting ourselves up for a title fight, Chris, but we would be remiss if we didn't talk about how this season is different than any other because we've got a chase, and you can see that. The playoffs, the drivers on the bubble, top 12 will make it into the playoffs. Everyone else is going to be looking in after the first 10 races of the season. Top 12 drivers make it. You can see that bubble battle heating up between Blassie, Gardner, Bradley, and Johnson. Only 7 points separating 4 drivers from 12th position and a spot into the playoffs, the final 5 races of the season, Chris. This is going to be a spectacular season. We're not even halfway into it yet, and I think we've seen some of our best racing so far. So let's talk about the racing tonight. Other stories we're going to be looking at. Watch the wall and save your tires, Chris. Why are drivers going to be watching the wall tonight?
Well, because this track right here has variable banking, as you were talking about in the pre-race opener. This track has 18 degrees of banking at the bottom, about 19 in the middle, and 20 up at the top. You can make some speed up at the top, and that's where saving those tires comes in at. I think that you might see at the beginning of the race, anybody who decides that they want to try to run the wall and rip the wall and run really fast up there, I think that they're going to find themselves in a little bit of trouble at the end of a fuel run, at the end of a stint. Because I think it's going to burn up the right front. I think the drivers that can maybe roll the bottom for the first 3/4 of the run and then maybe migrate to the top are going to find a little bit of speed up there. Going to be very interested to see if drivers, get up there right next to it and try to, flirt with disaster up there just a little bit, or if they want to be a little bit more conservative and run on that white line.
And Chris, as you mentioned it, 35 drivers out there tonight getting strapped in here in a moment, getting ready to flirt with a little bit of disaster at high speeds here at Homestead-Miami. We're getting ready to go live here for the Driven Bay Life 175. We'll talk more about the sponsor of this race here shortly, but right now, the warm-up session is about to end, which means we've got to hit the starting lineup presented by Evan Pienta Designs. That pole winner tonight going to be starting up at the front of the pack, I believe, is Jacob Bradley, and that is correct. Just going to go through the grid here as drivers begin to bring their cars to pit road. Jacob Bradley is your pole winner tonight in that 50. Starting second is the 81 of Scotty Sobzak. In third, Justin Wilson in that 58 machine, looking for a strong rebound after a kind of slower than usual start to his season. Chris Pearson, that 65 truck, going to be starting fourth. Nick Lucci making his 5th overall slingshot appearance. We'll talk about him later. Starting in the 5th position, Patrick Colby, good qualifying effort in that 9 machine in 6th. Randy Bechtel's going to be gritting it up in 7th tonight in the 51. Scott Tompkins last week, heartbreak, losing by .002 seconds. Closest finish in slingshot history, 8th tonight for Scott Tompkins on the grid. Ryan Hinkle going to be starting 9th in that 99. Wesley Pistol 10th in the 94. Evan Pienta in the 55 machine is going to be 11th. Jeremy Gardner going to be lining it up from 12th. Steve McDonald going to be starting 13th. Johnny Rapp starting 14th. Tony Caputo, great qualifying effort for the driver of the 7 and 15th. Aaron Smith going to be starting 16th, a little bit further back than we're used to seeing that number 70 machine. Josh Ward also going to have to do his work tonight, starting from 17th. Jacob Chase, 18th. Dan Rowe in the 68 truck starting 19th. Thomas Coonan starting 20th in the number 86. The rest of that starting lineup going to be scrolling across the bottom of your screen as we get ready to go green here in just about a lap. Pace Cars got 35 trucks in tow tonight. Jacob Bradley
we got some trouble on the pace lap right here. Looks like Patrick O'Toole turned it around. I think he's going to get going there. Might have been some slight contact with Cordell Lofgren, but hopefully they get it going here as we're coming to the green flag.
We are going to maybe take a look at that here shortly. Make sure we're caught up as the pace car gets ready to... we are going to hold off on the start. It looks like, you mentioned it, Chris, a little bit of issues there for Cordell Lofgren making his first start of the season. And Patrick O'Toole, not sure what happened. Those might have been separate incidents.
Yeah, I think they were. I think that we're going to go back and see it and just make sure that we're not talking out of line right here. I want to say that, yeah, Cordell was just rolling here on the apron, and Patrick O'Toole has some type of problem here. I don't know what happened. It's almost like he downshifted, maybe. We're right on board with him here and see if we can hear it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it sounded like he was coasting and just lit it up there. So, yeah, just a little bit of a hiccup, and hopefully everything is squared away now.
Yeah, hopefully that's not an omen for the rest of the night. Usually we have pretty good green flag racing here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. It is a technical track in terms of drivers getting as close to that wall as possible. But right now, the car closest to the wall is Scotty Sobczak, but he's on the outside pole. Jacob Bradley is your pole sitter. Slightly different look. Jacob Bradley Driving School, I believe that's a play on the Skip Barber Driving School. That number 50 going to be starting out front, Chris. He's leading the way on a 35 truck field. Scotty Sobczak going to be starting on the outside pole. Hey, let us know who you're rooting for. Right now, pace cars peeling off. The number 50 takes the green flag. We are underway here for the Driven Bay Life 175 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Driver's going to go down into turn 1. Bradley's got a clear lead. It's double wide for second place. Wilson in the inside. Sobczak giving up a couple of positions, including another one to Nick Lucci on the inside there. Sobczak's going to gain his momentum, get his sea legs off of turn 2. Now leaders stretch it out. First 4 are single file. Lucci makes a move to the inside. We'll watch this battle for a moment, see if Scotty Sobczak puts up much of a fight.
Yeah, he gets that run. He gets that momentum off of turn 4. You're going to see that a lot tonight. Sometimes drivers that are on the inside will have a hard time passing that driver on the outside just because they can generate so much momentum up there. So we got Justin Wilson looking for the lead on his teammate.
Speaking of the outside, got a little bit of a battle here between the 58 and the 50. Justin Wilson looking to regain championship form here. Right now working over last season's champion of Slingshot Racing League, Jacob Bradley. And right now we're seeing some drivers have different strategies, Chris. We talked about the risk you take by moving up the track early. Justin Wilson says, man, we talked to him in preseason. He just wants to get after it. And I think that's the Justin Wilson we're seeing right now tonight.
Yeah, he is. He's getting after it. We see him slipping up a little bit off the bottom right there. Jacob Bradley's going to look to his inside right here. These drivers aren't getting in line right here. These payday teammates, they're not getting in line. They're actually racing each other pretty hard for the win right here, or for the lead, I should say. And Wilson looks like he's going to concede that position. I don't know if that was any type of teammate work to get him a lap led there or not.
It feels like maybe there was a little bit of teammate work there. Hey, speaking of teammates, not to bring up any trauma for Nick Lucci and Justin Wilson. I almost had deja vu there, Chris, for a moment of the season finale last season for the Apex Energy Series where Rye Jones and Justin Wilson had a little bit of contact, taking Wilson out of championship contention. But all is good right now. Jacob Bradley, Justin Wilson, Nick Lucci are your top 3. It's single file really all the way back, I would say probably till about the 9th or 10th position. You've got Randy Bechtel sitting 5th, Chris Pierce 6th. He's got Patrick Colby, who's giving them a mirror full right now. Colby in that teal number 9 working on the back of that Apex Energy machine. Chris Pierce, really strong season going so far. Several good finishes for the driver of that number 65, Chris, having a good run tonight. Patrick Colby, hey, speaking of Patrick Colby, last time we were at Homestead-Miami Speedway, Patrick Colby was in Victory Lane, at least in the trucks, a couple of seasons ago in Season 4, Chris. So Patrick Colby, as he looks to make the pass on the outside, he knows how to get around Homestead. He's a driver that's got a lot of speed here.
Yeah, he does. He gets around here really well, and I was talking to him before the race started, and he had a lot of confidence going in tonight. He felt like this was a big opportunity for him to possibly get a victory, and yeah, I wouldn't be a bit surprised at all to see him battling it out in the top 5 at the end of this thing.
Yeah, and he is definitely working on that right now. Hey, one driver I want to give a shout out to, guy who is doing quick work out there. Let's jump over to 12th position where Thomas Coonan, sitting in that number 86, he has moved up a whopping 8 positions on the day so far. And Chris, he's doing it on that outside line, so I think it's one of those, do it at your own risk. You know, if track position is important, and for Coonan, he's showing kind of his hand of cards right now that he wants that track position as he works his way by Ryan Hinkle on the outside. Now moving into the 9th position now, or the 11th position. Evan Pienta looking to see if he can follow Coonan through there as he works by his teammate Ryan Hinkle. But right now, it looks like a lot of drivers have shifted up to that outside line, Chris, at least to make those passes. We can see Aaron Smith kind of in the peripheral vision there, also working his way. Not quite as high as Coonan. I almost feel like we've got 3 lines. Coonan loose up corner there.
Yeah.
3 lines kind of coming in here.
Yeah, and this is going to be something to watch. This is a good experiment right here. We're going to consider Thomas Coonan our guinea pig here. If he is able to maintain speed over the course of this run, that's great. If he gives up on the course of the long run, if we do get a long run here, then it's going to be, that's going to give us a little bit of a telltale sign of if that top lane has staying power. And I mean, yeah, he's definitely charging up through the field. I think that the top is an option.
Real close to Scott Tompkins there. Sorry to interrupt.
No, he turns him.
Tompkins sideways, head into turn 3. Tompkins into the wall. Thomas Coonan gets into the back of that 25 machine. Tompkins is going to be hot after that one, Chris.
Yeah, he got turned there.
Caution is not out, though, it doesn't look like.
Yeah, we're going to watch this one from head on right here. And Coonan eased over into him and just hooks him in the left rear. That's one of those things where, this early in the race, no real, kind of like one of those risk-reward things. It probably doesn't pay you too much to be running that close to somebody.
No, it does not, and Coonan's going to have to deal with Tompkins. I suspect that Tompkins probably want to get back on the track. I'm seeing a little bit of chatter on the radios right now. But hey, speaking of chatter, Nick Lucci's got those tires lit up. They're not chattering on that number 90, that number 19 truck, Chris. He has moved up, and he is right in the toe of Jacob Bradley. We've got a battle for the lead heating up. These drivers have put up 11 laps on the scoreboard, but Nick Lucci is driving like it's the last one out here, running some of the fastest laps on the track. I know we've got some Nick Lucci fans in the chat right now. Let us know if you're here to watch Nick and that number 19 as he tries to work the inside over on the leader, Jacob Bradley, here on lap number 11.
And we got a battle for third going on right now. Scotty Sobczak looking to try to get around Justin Wilson. That's a battle for third. Randy Bechtel right there, right behind those guys. Looking to maybe possibly follow Sobczak around his payday teammate.
Yeah, so 3-car battle here. How important is the draft at a track like this where there are some pretty high speeds headed into these corners?
Well, the draft is important, I think, on a lot of tracks with the trucks, compared to maybe the Xfinity cars and the Cup cars. However, one thing I will say about Homestead-Miami Speedway is that the center of the corner speed is a lot lower here than it is on a lot of the other mile-and-a-half tracks. I'm just watching right now our leader, Jacob Bradley. Second place Nick Lucci got down to about 149 miles an hour in the center of 1 and 2 right there. So, and this is pretty early in the race. So I wouldn't say it's as heavy here as it is at like a track like Fontana or Michigan.
Definitely not as heavy, but still playing a role here. Several great battles on track. You mentioned Justin Wilson moving up the track right now. Scotty Sobczak working back into the 3rd position. Right now, that battle not going anywhere. A lot of white cars, white, purple, white, blue, white, and red, right on top of each other. Caution is out. I believe that might have been for Jacob Chase here on lap number 13. Chris, we'll see if we can go back and figure out what happened to the driver. That number 43 looks like he just got loose in the corner, and I believe that was number 22 of Jamie Leach that was kind of an innocent bystander there coming out of turn number 4.
Yeah,
so
here we
back
are.
to the scene of the crime.
Oh, yeah. So you see this a lot here at Homestead-Miami. He's kind of straddling that seam, and there's a little bit of a banking transition right there. Yeah, he gets it out of shape. I wonder if there's some contact maybe from Sean Johnson right behind him. We're actually going to go on board with Johnson.
It was close.
Yeah, this
is going to be a great view.
Oh, yeah, there was some contact there, and it got, Jacob Chase, I think, was in trouble, before that. So, wasn't anything Johnson did maliciously or anything like that. It's just, sometimes that happens, and it's like maybe some contact with Steve McDonald as he came down the track, but I think they're all going to get away with it, luckily.
That was right. That was that 24 of Steve McDonald. I think the car that's not going to get away with it is Jacob Chase in that number 43 truck, Chris. That's some pretty substantial damage. I think his night might be over Right now, though, several drivers ducking to pit road. Jacob Bradley, not one of them, bringing both Justin Wilson and Randy Bechtel with them, but Nick Lucci,
Oh, man.
Scotty Sobczak, Patrick Colby opting to come in here on lap number 15 for fresh tires. They've got 4 sets. This is going to be one of them. They'll have 3 left, Chris, so I'm interested to see. We're going to see some interesting strategy play out.
Yeah, if we go green for a while here, this could be bad news for Bradley, Wilson, Bechtel, and Ward, the drivers who stayed out there. I think Raymond Hanneman also as well, Chase Berry. There's a number of them. They might be okay here. But if we go green a while, I don't think that's what they want, as Lucci is going to lead all the drivers off of pit road. Looks like a lot of fuel only here. Looks like they're saving those tires for later.
Yeah, just looking at the time they spent on pit lane, yeah, I do think you're right. I'm looking through the first driver that looks like they might have taken 4 tires.
Looks like it might be Scotty Sobczak.
Yeah, we got to go back a little bit to Scotty Sobczak in 16th, and you can see the difference in pit stop speed definitely pushed him back a handful of positions. Hey, I want to take a moment to talk about our sponsor, Driven Bay Life. This is a podcast by Rye Jones, one of our very own drivers here in the number 91 truck from Pensacola, Florida. We'll go ahead and play a video where you can learn a little bit about what that Driven Bay Life brand is all about if you're a car fanatic.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the Driven Bay Life 175. I can't thank Chris and Ellis enough for this opportunity. My name is Rye Jones. I do have Driven Bay Life as my sponsor, and it's going to be a podcast starting here soon, and it's also going to be a car meet thing out here where I live in Pensacola. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm excited. But for this race, what I wanted to do is help out my friend Gabby Shields. She is in need of a new kidney transplant and a pancreas transplant. She's had diabetes since she was 13 and started building up these other health issues. And her brother has set up a GoFundMe for her, and we will share that link in the description or in the chat and everything for everyone to please donate and help her out. She's at over $20,000 and she just needs about $33,000. So we're almost there, but we can't do it without all y'all's help. So again, I can't thank Chris and Ellis enough for this opportunity, and I can't thank my friend Gabby for even allowing me to do this. She deserves it more than anyone in the world, and we need all y'all's help. So anyway, continue to watch the race and enjoy the show. I'll catch y'all next time, guys.
All right, back here after a lap 13 incident brought us under caution. You heard from the Driven Bay Life podcast from Rye Jones. Before we go green, I want to take a moment to talk about a cause near and dear to Rye's heart. He has a close friend, Gabby, who was diagnosed at the age of 13 with type 1 diabetes as well as polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS. And it's been a health struggle for her for a greater part of her life. And as you know, health bills can mount with all sorts of treatments. She needs multiple transplants, and she's literally fighting for her life. And Ryan wanted to take this opportunity tonight to kind of engage our community and encourage our drivers and fans to rally around his very close friend, Gabby. You can find out more information about her and her journey and her fight, along with a link to a GoFundMe page with all that information in our video description here on YouTube. So go to the video description and you can find out all about that. And any little bit helps. So appreciate Rye and his support of this race. But right now, we're going to be getting ready to bring this race back under green. Jacob Bradley is going to be the control car. He's going to be able to mash that throttle when he hits this blue Geico restart zone, which he is in now. And he goes about halfway through. We are back underway here at Miami. Bradley clears Justin Wilson, who's got Randy Bechtel down his inside. That's a two-way fight for second place. Meanwhile, Josh Ward, the points leader, taking it up a third step on the outside. He's that blue and yellow truck working away the outside, trying to get a run on Bechtel. He's going to get it. He's going to try to make a move for third if he can push Wilson through to second. They've got Brady Floyd in the 53 right behind them. Great fight going on for the 4th, 5th position right now. Josh Ward on the outside, Randy Bechtel on the inside. Chris, this is this opportunity where drivers can work this outside line and pick up a lot of spots.
Yeah, we talk about the dangers of running the top, but on these restarts right here, if your lane rolls pretty good, the top is definitely a good option for you to make passes, and that's what we're seeing a lot of drivers do right here. A lot of people wanting to make passes, trying to get up after it here on this restart, and it's definitely an option for you. I think where the problem is going to be is if you stay up there too long.
I think the problem is going to be around 8th or 9th position if we redirect our cameras over there like you got them right now. This is a problem spot. Just watching Raymond Hanneman, Brady Floyd, that HTP truck, 70 of Aaron Smith, Patrick Colby, Chase Berry. This is a hornet's nest. I'm curious just to keep our eyes on this for a minute and just see Rye Jones, that number 91, takes it 3 wide down into turn number 3. We are 3 wide, 2 rows deep. Are we at Talladega or are we at Miami, Chris? This is some great racing here on lap number 21. 2 rows of 3 wide off the corner. Now we're trying to make it 3 here.
My gosh, yeah, are we at Talladega, like you said, because this looks like a pack that we saw last week. These drivers are getting after it. You got Chase Berry, Johnny Rapp up on the high side.
Jones and Gardner about have a mishap there off of turn 2. Gardner got out of the throttle and hung onto it, did not turn Jones around. But yeah, Chris, we mentioned it. Like this is the hornet's nest. This is where you don't want to be. I'm getting a little nervous watching this right now.
Yeah, Raymond Hanneman right here on the bottom. He's got Patrick Colby with him. It's like they're trying to make the inside work. Colby's going to go to the inside, 3 wide.
And you can see this is 3 different lines on display. You can see the strengths and weaknesses of each one of those lines around the track. You can see Colby gained some on entry, but it was that 91 who shot out like a rocket. Oh, Gardner into the back of Colby and that number 9. Contact headed down into 3. This is a battle for the 13th position going on between Jeremy Gardner and Patrick Colby. I think I just saw Gardner get on the mic. I think he apologized, and Patrick said, "That's all right. I know it was an accident." As we watch Sean Johnson, a driver involved in that lap number 13 accident, back to his normal running order here in the number 32 car, or truck, I should say, working his way on the outside by Colby. That Moon Pie machine is his way back up after some early trouble.
He is, and what you're seeing right here is what makes Homestead-Miami Speedway just such a fan favorite, a favorite amongst sim racers. You just got so many options. You know, you can go a bunch of different places. If somebody's running the line that, you want to run, just change it up just a little bit and go somewhere else, and you can possibly get around them. As we got 3 wide up here around the 10th spot, it's like Chase Berry up on the high side. He's going to clear his teammate Johnny Rapp as Jeremy Gardner tries to make a move on the inside of Rapp.
A little bit of a different scheme. I think we're seeing kind of a Miami color scheme for Chase Berry with this green and pink. I like that color scheme. And hey, look what truck we can see this week working underneath him in that number 5. It's the Sim Racing Concepts mobile of Jeremy Gardner having a good run. You're watching Florida man Chase Berry working that outside, that number 46 KB's garage truck. He's got Johnny Rapp, his teammate, trying to gain a little bit of traction on the inside. That 3-way battle has kind of subsided for now, though lots of single file racing on the racetrack, but just a little bit further up, Scotty Sobczak working his way by on the inside of Josh Ward. Got a little bit of a scrum here between the 81 and the number 92 here. Josh Ward not letting him go. He's got that machine lit up on the outside, but as soon as I say that, there's another truck to his outside. The number 91 of Jones working his way up through the field, Chris. 18 positions that number 91 truck has picked up on the field tonight as he tucks up behind the number 19 of Nick Lucci. He goes back to the top, and this is an efficient way to get around the track in terms of gaining speed and momentum off the corner. We're going to see it gain him at least 2 or 3 spots here in about a lap, Chris.
Yeah, you see the speed. I like to think of it as the passing zone. It's a good way to get up there and try to make this the passing lane. It's a good way to try to make up some spots. We'll see if Rye, once he clears these guys here, he might get back down into the bottom here. Now, I hate to bring up some bad memories, but the last time Rye Jones and Justin Wilson were close to each other on this racetrack, we know what happened.
We do know what happened. We mentioned it. Nick Lucci off the corner gets a little bit loose there. Right now, it's all clean. Justin Wilson And Rye Jones had a bit of a misunderstanding going into the corner here early in the season finale last season for the Apex Energy Series. Justin Wilson got turned around. It ended his night and his championship hopes all in one incident. Right now, no issues, though. He lets Jones by. Jones up to the third position after starting 24th on the grid. By far the biggest mover. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. Brady Floyd is up 22 positions on the night, sitting back there in the 9th position. So several drivers, Chris, really doing a lot of work early on in the race tonight. Still watching this battle going on for the 6th and 7th position and a little bit further up right here as they head down into turn 1 and turn 2. Exiting now onto the backstretch. Justin Wilson got a little fight going with Scotty Sobczak on the inside. Wilson, the 58. Sobczak, I know he's got some fans watching him and that number 81. The 58 cuts off the 81, took a chance there, closed the door. Scotty Sobczak says, all right, message received. But I'm going to take it back down to the inside here on the front straightaway. I'm going to try to get you down into 1, and we'll watch this number 81. You can see him gain a little bit on that 58 on entry. It's a shorter line around the track, but that 58 is going to have some speed off the corner, but I think the 81 just had such a good run on entry. 58 probably just kind of let him by there as that 81 gets a run on the 51 now down to the inside. This is a battle on with Bechtel and Scotty Sobczak for the 3rd position, Chris. Scotty Sobczak working his way back up to the front after losing some spots on that pit cycle.
And we got a battle for the lead right here. Rye Jones looking to the inside of Jacob Bradley, and he's going to complete that pass. He caught Bradley by using that high side. He's got a lot of speed right now, and he's going to move up into the lead, and I know why he's got a lot of speed, Ellis. He did take 4 tires on that pit stop.
I was about to say, I bet I can venture a guess as to why that 91, it's not just tires. Rye Jones has speed in general.
Oh, yeah.
But those freshies help. And last question we got in the chat, Dawn, we appreciate you joining us. She said, is the top side hard on these tires? And yes, absolutely. Going a little bit faster puts a little bit more wear on those tires early in a run. So there's definitely speed and an advantage to be gained, Dawn, and everyone else watching. But it is a trade-off. You're going to have to pay the price and pay the piper later on in the race when those tires fall off a little bit quicker than those who are running the inside, but you can make a lot of passes up there. So speaking of Dawn, we appreciate her. We appreciate everyone in the chat right now watching live on YouTube or Twitch. If you're watching, do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button right underneath the title of this video. Let us know you enjoy this racing that you are watching live here on Slingshot Racing TV. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. It helps us get more of your drivers out in front of more fans' eyeballs, which is always good and helps us grow a little bit. Doesn't cost you a dime. So appreciate everyone tuning in tonight who's watching. This is race number 5 of the Apex Energy Truck Series, presented by Hank Thomas Performance, watching Scotty Sobczak. Yellow flag is out. I think that might have been Dan Berg. The Dan Berg, I believe that is the number 2 truck, had an incident. See if we can return to the scene of the crime and figure out what happened with Dan here on lap number 35.
We'll go back. We'll see if we can...
Almost identical, just a different corner, Chris. Got loose, one of those low and lazy slides.
Yeah, I don't know why our replay did that, but yeah, we'll see if we can go back now and see if we can see what happened to... Still missed it just a little bit, but yeah. Yeah, it looks like off of turn 2 right here. And yeah, straddling the seam again. That's, you know, you don't see all drivers doing that, but it is a good way to, you know, find yourself in trouble here sometimes. I found that it can be slick, and yeah, with the left sides on that lesser banking, it just pulls that truck around. Looks like Tony Caputo, some contact. Looks like Berg was already going around and Caputo had nowhere to go, but yeah, everybody's going to get away with it right here. This is a huge, huge break for Rye Jones, Jacob Bradley, Randy Bechtel, all the guys. I'm sorry, not Rye Jones, because Rye Jones already put a set of tires on it right here. In fact,
yeah,
this is probably a bad break for Rye Jones.
I think so. I think he did not want to see this caution. We're going to see several cars come out now, have the opportunity to get on a fresh set for the first time tonight. These are going to be the drivers who didn't come in. A lot of them that first time. I do see the 81 of Scotty Sobczak taking some tires, though. So watching this battle off of pit road, trying to return, get to our view of the cars that looks like
I think that
Looks like Jeremy Gardner won the battle off, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that Josh Ward might have possibly missed his pit stall, which we'll see if he decides he's going to make a pit stop. But I saw him roll down pit road. He might have just missed the stall.
I think you are right. Good catch. Good eye.
Jeremy Gardner looks like he took fuel only or possibly 2 tires. Everybody else took 4, and they're still. Man, that's asking a lot.
And he's gonna come back in here, Chris.
He's gonna come back to pit road.
He knows he's got to come, and I'm looking right now. I think. Well, see, I don't have the correct data because it's showing him has already come down pit road. It looks like so.
Man, these drivers, a lot of these drivers have got to hope this thing goes green to the end because they have kind of put themselves in a corner right here. Because some people have taken their second set of tires at this point.
Yeah, in fact, I'm looking at a lot of people having taken their second set of tires. So I think they're probably banking on some long green flag runs, and that's not much of a leap for Slingshot Racing League, to be quite honest. So I can't say that I'm hugely surprised to see that happen. I believe we have 1 lap left before we get caution.
Yep.
Okay, so the lights are still on the pace car here. We'll get back to the story here in a moment, but we got to pay these bills. We got great partners to hear from, like Hank Thomas Performance, who we're going to take a moment to hear from right now, provider of Sunoco race fuels and other sort of racing supplies. We'll be back on the other end of this break for the resumption of green flag racing here from Slingshot Racing League at Homestead.
Hank Thomas Performance is a Sunoco race fuel master distributor located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Our territory covers North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, as well as the Panhandle of Florida, providing quality Sunoco race fuel to many track and dealers throughout the region. In addition to Sunoco race fuels, Hank Thomas Performance distributes high-quality methanol and at-track supplies, as well as miscellaneous gas containers and everyday products that the at-track racer wants and needs as they compete at their local asphalt and dirt ovals, plus drag strips. You can reach us at 800-848-HANK, or if you're in our area, come out and visit us at the shop.
All right, you heard from Hank Thomas Performance there. The driver of that number 70, Hank Thomas, Chevy Silverado, sitting 10th, Aaron Smith. Good run going tonight. He's up 6 positions after starting in the 16th position. So great job for the number 70. We'll look to see him further on in the field later on as the race progresses. Right now, it's all about Jeremy Gardner, Chris, and Ryan Hinkle. Gardner is going to be in the lead. Ryan Hinkle going to be second. That 5 Sim Racing Concepts machine is going to be the control car. Once he hits that blue Geico restart zone, it's his decision when to mash the throttle and to bring him back green. He does it. We are back underway here at Homestead. Gardner leads him down. Jones in tow as they head down into turn 1. Hinkle to the outside, that orange machine going to drop back several spots on older tires, but hey, he got some TV airtime in that bright orange machine. Almost 3 wide for second place. Rye Jones closes the door on his teammate, Jacob Bradley. Meanwhile, Jones has got the 81 of Scotty Sobczak to worry about on the outside. He's got Jacob Bradley now moving up to a third line, 3 wide. Sobczak loose. Justin Wilson moves to the inside. Randy Bechtel goes to the outside. Scotty Sobczak dropping several positions now, all the way back to the 6th position. Battle for the lead. 3 cars fighting for it. Gardner, Bechtel, and then Bradley on the inside who clears. Double wide fight for second place right now. Bechtel gets a huge run. He's going to channel that into a big old push for Jacob Bradley, but he says, no, I think I'll take it. Headed down into turn number 3. That Dridini 51 gets a run. Is he going to try to close the door on the 50 on exit? Nope, he can't do it. Jacob Bradley's got the momentum off the corner, Chris. We mentioned it's hard to pass on the inside here. The outside is the place to be if you're going to be making passes or holding on to spots, but it does come at the cost of tires, and we've seen several drivers pay the price for that tonight. Mentioning tires, just to kind of reset the storyline, several drivers on their third out of 4 sets of tires just 40 laps into this race, Chris. Those drivers, including Rye Jones, believe Scotty Sobczak as well, they're going to hope this race goes green the rest of the way. Is that right?
Yeah, those two I know of for sure. The 81 of Scotty Sobczak, the 91 of Rye Jones.
Got another caution out on the track. We'll see if
Evan
we can figure out.
Pienta, Lee Campbell. Oh, and Lee Campbell makes some contact, I think, with Cordell Lofgren as he came down the track there. It's like maybe Sean Johnson involved as well. We'll go back, see if we can see what happened here.
Oh, it looked like Evan Pienta might have just slid up just a little bit on Jamie Leach in the 22. And it collected Caputo, Lee Campbell. It looks like Cordell Lofgren got into Lee Campbell. Sean Johnson was a victim of that lap 42 crash as well.
Yeah, they're 3 wide right there. And, there's nowhere for Jay Leach to go. And Evan Pienta well, actually, let's look at this from a little bit different perspective. Let's see this from overhead. See if we can see any possible movement here. Yeah, it's hard to tell. It might have been one moving up and one moving down there, and was like Tony Caputo involved in that one as well. I think he's going to get away with not too much damage.
One of the things I noticed is it looked like the number 55 might have gotten into the back of the 7 a little bit, which nothing wrong with that, but I think it might have disrupted the 55 in terms of the way that car kind of was moving around a little bit, and that might have been just enough as well. So I think a lot of factors were at play there, and when you've got 5-6 cars on top of each other like that, or trucks I should say, these are the things that can happen. And right now, lap 44 laps on the scoreboard. 3 cautions early tonight for the Slingshot Racing League and the Apex Energy Truck Series, presented by Hank Thomas Performance. Watching the replay of this lap number 43 incident as we speak.
Yeah, we're actually going to go back right here and just right on board with Jay Leach, and we'll watch right here from the dash cam, and you will see him. He's going to dive for the middle right here. Yeah, Ryan Hinkle's kind of sliding back a little bit here after that restart right there on those old tires. And middle of 3 wide right here. And yeah, I think it was just a situation where a couple guys going for the exact same spot on the racetrack and unfortunately came together. And I think Jay Leach, I think the damage might be more significant on his truck maybe than any other one of those that was involved.
Yeah, and just a race control announcement here. The EOL, or the black flag, the penalty for that incident is put on the number 55 of Evan Pienta here for that lap number 43 incident, as the drivers work their way around under caution, slow speeds behind the pace car for the 3rd time tonight here in the Driven Bay Life 175. I believe we are going to get set for a restart at this point. Pace car, trying to see if the lights are out on that pace car real quick.
Looks like we got another lap, or another 2 laps.
Yeah, we got another lap.
Yeah,
so
the lights are still on.
Does this benefit Rye Jones and those other drivers who are on their 3rd sets of tires?
I don't think. I think that since it was such a quick caution right there, I don't think that this really hurts or helps anybody necessarily. Maybe it does help them because it just means that they can go a little bit further here before their pit stop. I think the thing that is going to get them in trouble maybe more than these other guys is if we have a caution at the end. Like after the final green flag pit stop, if we do happen to have a green flag pit stop, which we've been a little bit caution heavy tonight, more so than what we usually are. I think that's their biggest worry at this point, is after they make that green flag pit stop, is if there's a caution at the end, because if there is, they're going to be sitting ducks on that restart.
It certainly won't be pretty if there's a caution at the end and everyone can come in and take tires, and those drivers cannot because they have used their final sets of tires. Right now, Pace car working its way down the front stretch here. Lap 45 of 116 in the books. Driver's going to re-rack them 2 by 2, just a lap away from the restart here. Jacob Bradley reassumes the lead, his payday teammate of Randy Bechtel sitting in second place. And Chris, we've seen kind of a return to form for Randy Bechtel this season. Just looking back at some statistics, last season, I believe he was caught up in that that early crash at Homestead, finished 15th. But in the Xfinity series last season, and Randy he struggled in the Xfinity cars. Got hot towards the end of the season, but man, these trucks, he has found some speed, got on the win column, got into the win column at Iowa, and really hasn't looked back just in terms of knocking them off. Got involved in a last lap crash last week at Talladega, finished 15th, but besides that, it's been a golden season for Randy there, that driver out of Pennsylvania. Almost won in his home track in Pocono for 2 wins this season. But I think we have not seen the end of the wins this season for that driver, the number 51, Randy Bechtel, sitting there right now in second place. Right on the outside of Jacob Bradley. Pace car is going to peel off. Bradley's going to be the control car. He's going to mash the throttle when he wishes. He does so right now. We are back racing here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Bradley is your leader. Bechtel second. Justin Wilson jumps down to the inside of Bechtel in that purple and green machine. It's a double wide battle for second with their Payday Racing teammate Rye Jones back in third. Jeremy Gardner on the inside in that red, black, and white Sim Racing Concepts machine in fifth place right now. Jones sticks to the high line. This is a nice little battle going on here. Again, we've seen a great variety of race lines tonight, whether it's been at the very bottom, the middle, or the top. We've seen kind of the advantage each one of those has. Jones looking to clear Justin Wilson as they sail off down into turn number 1. I think he's probably going to have the momentum to get it done here off of turn 2 if he can hold his line and carry that momentum like we've seen him do the past couple of laps. He does look like he's going to have that position on Justin Wilson. He's going to clear him.
And we got some 3 wide action going on here. So, Thomas Coonan into the wall right there, turning into turn 3. He is really trying to roll that top as Jeremy Gardner is slipping back a little bit here because he is on a little bit older tires than some of the drivers around him.
Johnny Rapp in contact with Jeremy Gardner. Chris, we've got another caution. Another caution. That might have been for the number 83 of Cordell Lofgren in the wall, but I'm still not quite sure why. Oh, you know what happened? Cordell looked like he had a little bit of contact with Lee Campbell in the number 14 car off of turn number 3 there. Or turn number 4, I should say.
Yeah, it looks like, Cordell's in the wall all the way. Yeah, he's in the wall on entry to turn 3. He was in trouble all the way back then. It looks like he turned off the wall, and when you turn off the wall like that, it looks like just the closing rate was just so significant right here. Here comes Lee Campbell, and some contact right there. Yeah, sometimes here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, that wall, it will really, really slow you down. You get stuck in it, and it's hard to get away from it.
It is definitely hard to get away with those closing.
Our camera is kind of messed up right here.
The camera survived. Larry Poling got a little damage there too, it looked like.
Yeah,
coming
sure
off
did.
That corner. So, hey, Don Hilbert says in the chat, more cautions than what I thought there would be. Don, I agree with you. I think we expected we've grown very accustomed to green flag racing, and this is a track that sometimes can lend itself well to that. But also in these trucks, one thing that we have mentioned is the draft can keep these cars bunched up, and we've seen 3 wide racing.
Ellis, we might have to go to commercial to fix this.
All right, let's go ahead, take a commercial break. We're going to hear from our partners at Apex Energy Drink. We'll be back on the other side of the break while we get some difficulties worked out. How do we get these one-of-a-kind amazing trophies? Well, we were fortunate to find UD Awards when we started our league. We reached out and we connected with Christopher, and we got started designing these one-of-a-kind works of art. The process was easy from start to finish. After just a few revisions, we finalized each one of them, and the team at UD got to work building each trophy from scratch. They're a small team, but they've got the ability to do just about anything your brain can imagine. And don't worry, if you're not an artist, they've got an entire catalog of unique trophies in pretty much any material you can imagine. Wood, acrylic, glass, and in the case of last season's trophy, metal. The best part, they're affordable. If you're looking for a trophy for your event or league, the choice is simple. UD Awards can give you exactly what you want.
Are you looking for high-quality, affordable sim racing paint schemes and graphics? Then look no further than Evan at Evan Pienta Designs. Driven by speed, Evan Pienta Designs offers a multitude of sim racing graphics, from liveries to social media graphics to team and series logos. To see some of the work done by Evan, or even race one of the public liveries he's made, head on over to tradingpaints.com and search Evan Pienta.
All right, back here after trying to work on some technical difficulties on the camera side. I think we've got it figured out. Ellis Thomas, Chris Smith in the booth tonight for the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas. Performance, Jacob Bradley, great performance tonight for him. He's going to lead them back to the green flag. We are back underway here on lap number 53. Randy Bechtel second, Rye Jones, Justin Wilson battle for third. Jones, that purple and black machine on the inside. Justin Wilson, the purple and green machine on the outside. They settle it back to single file. Wilson's got to worry about Scotty Sobczak, that red, white, and blue number 81 Pine Mountain Auto Supply driver. He's getting after it, looking to see if he can make a run. Further back in the field, Brady Floyd's going to make run to the 19 of Nick Lucci, that black, red, and white machine now working its way on that yellow rocket of Aaron Smith. Lucci and Smith too wide, headed down the front straightaway down into turn number 1. Lucci making that thing look like a rocket on the outside, Chris, right now. Several drivers taking these restarts as opportunities. Thomas Coonan, opportunity to get into the wall there for Coonan. We've talked about it. You got to be careful. You flirt with disaster every single lap. We saw Cordell Lofgren have incidents a couple of laps ago. We've now seen Coonan have an incident with the wall. You go up there, you got to be ready and willing to pay the price. Several drivers have so far. Battle between Lucci and Sobczak going on for 5th place right now. Sobczak on the inside, Lucci on the outside. Hey, Nick Lucci, interesting fact, Chris. First time he's joining us this season. 4 races in Slingshot Racing League. He's finished in the top 5, 75% of those races, looking to make it 80% tonight in that number 19 truck. I know we got some Lucci fans out in the chat right now. Speaking of the chat, we got some Nick DeCesare fans and Very Racing Motorsports fans. Brendan Garvey, we're glad you are back watching with us here on YouTube. Appreciate you joining us, as well as everyone in the chat tonight. Let us know what driver you're rooting for. Shout out. Little message here, but yeah, Nick Lucci having a great run, and the other Nick having a pretty solid run tonight as well. Back in the top 20 run going for Nick DeCesare in that 00 machine. Right now, battle for the 3rd place position, Justin Wilson and Rye Jones. go at it, headed now out of turn number 4. Wilson a little bit loose on the outside, Chris. He's got Ryan Jones trying to thread the needle there on the inside between the apron and the number 58 truck. But Jones doesn't have much breathing room because he's got Lucci behind him. And we mentioned it, Chris, the draft is the great equalizer. And in these trucks, there is a lot of draft. There's a big hole punched in the air that lessens the resistance on the truck and allows greater speeds and for that car trailing to really be able to catch up pretty quickly if you're not familiar with what the draft is. But we've seen that keep the action and the cars close on track tonight as we're getting ready to put up 59 laps on the scoreboard of 116. We are officially halfway in this race. The Driven Bay Life 175. Drivers working their way around the track. Several two-wide battles right now ensuing out on the track, starting all the way back in the 4th position. That one settled out, but I'm keeping my eye on Brady Floyd and Josh Ward as well as Johnny Rapp back in 9th, 10th, and 11th. This is a great little battle we got pulled up on the screen right now. Almost 3 wide between Coonan, Rapp, and Floyd there, Chris. We've seen these guys mixing it up tonight.
Yeah, they have been, and we've seen a lot of different lines on this restart right here. You know, Thomas Coonan's been running up here on the top. We haven't been able to see, you know, a really long green flag run here to see if that top does, possibly give up as, some contact. Looks like Raymond Hanneman, Wesley Pistol.
That's Pistol, and you mentioned it, Hanneman. I think we're going to remain green. Green flag is still out for a 2-car incident on the backstretch. We are still underway on lap 60. The race surface is clear. Doesn't affect what's going on up front. It looks like Hanneman got loose off the corner as we watch that replay. Wesley Pistol, kind of an innocent victim. Second time this season we've seen that happen to Wesley Pistol, Chris.
Yeah, really unfortunate right there for Pistol. Just looked like a racing deal right there off of turn 2. And, we get a caution, though. We've had a lot of them tonight. He'll be able to get back in. He and Hanneman both will be able to get back in this thing.
Absolutely. Plenty of time left just past the halfway point. Right now, battle going on between Hanneman's teammate, Thomas Coonan, the number 86. He's got Johnny Rapp in that 52. Mission Barbecue. Chevy Silverado working underneath him. Battle going on for the 8th position. Lots of 2-wide racing going on up towards the back end of the top 10 right now, Chris. Great racing. Lots of opportunity for passing we've seen. You mentioned it. Homestead's a fan favorite simply because of the variety of lines. We mentioned in the pre-race that this track was reprofiled in 2003. Complete redesign, essentially, from what it used to be. Kind of a flat, really not highly banked oval. And this reprofile turned this track into literally one of the best tracks in the NASCAR circuit all season long.
Yeah, and when you say it wasn't, it was a very flat track. It was also a very boring track before this repave. It did not put on the best of racing, and it did a complete 180. And I would say it probably puts on the best racing of any 1.5 miles on the NASCAR circuit now.
Great racing going on for the 15th position right now between Chris Pierce and Scott Tompkins. Actually, the 14th position, 2 wide. Tompkins looking to work his way back up after being involved in a very early incident, I believe, with Thomas Coonan. That was the first caution we had. Tompkins working his way back through the field. You mentioned that he might get away with it. And right now, Chris, this is two weeks in a row we're seeing Scott Tompkins have to do a lot of work the second half of the race to work his way back up. Last time he did it at Talladega, he ended up finishing second by 2 1/1000ths of a second. Seeing if he can repeat that performance here tonight. He's probably going to want to improve on that by 1 spot, though. And that Pavlaki number 25. Hey, little fun fact. We've got a new series we're getting ready to announce later on this evening after the race to our drivers. Guess who's going to be one of the broadcasters in that series, Chris? It's the driver of that number 25. We've seen him before in one of the races. I think he filled in for you once, and I think he's going to do a great job. Probably better than he does on the racetrack.
I think he is, too. I was talking to him before the race.
It's a joke.
I was talking to him before the race tonight, and I told him that we were going to race the Homestead Roval instead of this one. And he told me he was going to drive to Alabama and kick my butt. So
that is a threat, and that is not in code with Slingshot Racing League rules. So I might have to say something to Scotty about that. But in all seriousness, the driver of that number 25, Scott Sobczak, creeping up on the back bumper of his number 68 teammate, Dan Rowan, the Avidia Bank. I believe that's a Chevrolet. I didn't want to mispronounce the manufacturer. But yeah, Dan Rowe having a pretty good run, Chris, sitting in the 13th position.
Yeah, he is.
Dan Rowe, one of those drivers who I feel like is just on the verge of a breakthrough. We've seen him run right around top 10, sometimes running 6th, 7th, sometimes top 5. I think that's a driver that we shouldn't sleep on that could go out there and get a win at some point this season. That driver from Massachusetts. This is kind of the New England gang up here. And I know New York's not part of New England, but same region of the country. Scott Tompkins from New York, his buddy Dan Rowe from Massachusetts, and they're right now having a good little battle on the track. This is a battle for the 14th or 13th position, rather. Look at Dan Rowe, so curious in that picture.
Yeah, he is, and we talk about Tompkins as Brady Floyd in front of these guys in the wall, and you saw kind of like what that wall here at Homestead will do. It will really, really slow you down. He gets stuck to it, and he lost a lot of ground to these guys behind him. Yeah, I think Scott Tompkins is a lot faster than his 14th position right here shows, but, unfortunately, he's had to spend a lot of this race just digging himself out of the hole that early problem that he had with the 86 of Thomas Coonan put him in right there. So, he's going to be looking to try to work his way back up here, and, by the end of this thing, hopefully he'll be back where he should be running, and it looks like Floyd and Rowe right here battling for the 12th position. Some contact!
So close off the corner there.
Yeah,
Floyd wanted to close the door.
Yeah, he might have been clear for a second, but he wasn't going to be clear once, on the corner exit right there. And he's lucky he had Daniel Rowe right there behind him instead of anybody else right there, because he cut him a break.
Yeah, the drive of the number 68 definitely cut the 53 break. And, Chris, that was one of the things I mentioned to you, and I don't think it was on air, but I mentioned if you're going to make a pass, we actually, weirdly enough, my mind just got jogged. I think we were talking about Bristol, but Tompkins almost in the side of the number 53 of Brady Floyd, almost identical to what happened to Tompkins off of 2. Earlier on in the race, he almost did the same thing to Floyd. This is some intense action going on here down into turn number 3. The 25 and the 53 rubbing doors and sheet metal off of turn 4. This is getting intense between the driver of the 25. Is there a little bit of history or something going on there? Because I feel like that is some intense racing.
Well, Daniel Rowe is his teammate, so he might have saw what happened, and he might be thinking, I'm going to send a little bit of a message to the...
Gardner almost gets caught up in that. Sorry to cut you off, Chris. My mic cuts out sometimes, and I couldn't hear you.
No, that's okay. And, I think that maybe Scott Tompkins was looking at what had happened in the previous corner with his teammate Daniel Rowe and Brady Floyd, and maybe he just decided, I'm going to run as close as I can to him to maybe send a little bit of a message here. But, hey, no harm, no foul. That's just hard racing, and they continue on right here.
They continue on. The Soldiers continue to fight. 72 laps on the scoreboard here from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Ellis Thomas joined by Chris Smith in the booth. Slingshot Racing League Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance. Great racing all around the track going on, Chris, but there's a battle for the lead that is heating up right now between Jacob Bradley and Nick Lucci. As soon as I say that, Lucci makes the diving pass down to the inside, headed down into turn 1. Lucci's going to try to clear. Is he going to try to pull a slide job on the driver, the number 50, Jacob Bradley? He is going to clear him, slide up in front. New leader to the point. Jacob Bradley's got something to say about it. Headed back down into turn number 3, though. That red, black, and white machine of Jacob Bradley dives down to the inside. Lucci's got the outside. I think I know how this story ends, at least this corner. That outside's going to have the momentum. He's going to stretch it out to about 4 or 5 car lengths to a clear-cut lead. Lucci to the point for the first time tonight. Suddenly, Jacob Bradley's on his back foot. He's got to defend against Justin Wilson and Ryan Jones, his Payday Racing teammates back there in 3rd and 4th. Single file rest of the way through about the top 10, but Lucci is off to the races here. Looking at that last lap, he ran about 0.2 faster than Jacob Bradley. I'm curious if we can get a better reading on those speed gaps and differentials right now as they cross the line to end lap number 74 and cross over to lap 75, Chris. But that number 19 machine, he looks fast, and Mark Lucci in the chat says it does look fast. Says, nice drive, Nick Lucci. I think we know who he's rooting for tonight.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all to see this out of Nick Lucci. I remember us racing a practice race with him here at Homestead-Miami in the Xfinity cars. And this was like when he was very early in his slingshot career, and he won that race. And I remember it very well because he passed me in the last corner. He was really, really good in that race, and I'm not surprised at all to see him this fast tonight as we got a battle for third going on right here. Looks like Ryan Jones trying to get around Justin Wilson. Go to the opposite end of the spectrum here and talk about Justin Wilson. Justin has always been, I have always heard him say that this is a track that he does not really get along with. He does not feel like this is one of his best tracks. Yet here he is still running in the top 3.
I think he was excited when we moved Homestead away from being the season finale.
I think so, too.
I think that was one of the favorite things that we've probably ever done for Justin Wilt. We didn't do it for him, to be clear, but I think he was ecstatic when he heard that that championship finale was moving away from Homestead, one of his least favorite tracks. But you mentioned it. He's still running in the third position here. So a lot of speed from the driver, the number 58. He's got Ryan Jones behind him. I'm sure maybe a little bit of trauma coming back up for the number 58.
Here he comes.
They've got
just
Randy Bechtel. Hey, you're not telling a lie, though. Jones makes the move down to the inside. He's looking to take over that third position from Justin Wilson. He's got Randy Bechtel and Aaron Jones in his rear, or Aaron Smith in his rear view mirror. Jones, he's got to keep that truck down. That's going to give the 58 an advantage off the corner. They head down into turn number 1, see if Ryan Jones tries the same approach. He does not. He moves back up to the top of the track with Justin Wilson. Meanwhile, Randy Bechtel back there, who is second place in points, is sitting in the fifth position now. Chris, speaking of fifth position, let's talk about Dash for Cash. Let's do a quick check-in on where our drivers are running. I'm just looking through the running order right now, and I think Thomas Coonan is your top Dash for Cash driver, sitting in the 7th position. No wonder he's racing so hard. He's trying to get that $25, maybe $50. Absolutely. Patrick Colby and Josh Ward running.
Oh, he's in the wall.
10th.
He's going to lose a spot here because he tagged the wall, but yeah, to Scotty Sobczak.
Yeah, so right now there are a lot of drivers. It looks like Scotty Sobczak, Thomas Coonan, Josh Ward, Patrick Colby, Scott Tompkins. 5 of your Dash for Cash drivers sitting really within 5, 6, 7 positions of each other right now, watching the driver, the number 86, rock and roll around the outside, seeing if he can get a pass on Scotty Sobczak. You can see several other Dash for Cash drivers. Josh Ward, he's currently your points leader. Having a good run tonight in the 9th position. I think you would like to improve that and take home some cash with him. Scotty Sobczak in the number 81 having a good run. Just a refresher on the Dash for Cash program as we see a couple of drivers hit pit road, including Ryan Jones. Top driver in those 6 drivers wins $25 at the end of the night. But right now, this is probably going to set up the final pit stop for the evening, Chris.
It does, and I think that Brady Floyd also made a pit stop. I think that Johnny Rapp has made his way to pit road, Chase Berry. So we've got several drivers that are making their pit stops now. I was a little bit worried when I saw Ryan Jones make that pit stop because that's his final set. But if he brings everybody to pit road, he just got to hope there's not a caution. I think he and Scotty Sobczak both, they just got to hope no cautions until the end of this thing.
And one thing I will say, this is going to create an interesting position for Ryan Jones because what we've seen from him, he does like to pit early, and I think we're going to see him get that track position. The question is, how hard is he going to have to fight to retain any momentum or ground he makes up, maybe even the lead here in the closing laps? This is going to set up an interesting dynamic. I do think we're going to see the 50 of Jacob Bradley pit this time by, though. I see him slowing down along with a couple of other trucks. Bradley's going to come to pit road now on lap 82. We'll see if he has any takers behind him. Doesn't look like it. Lucci's just going to extend his lead right now. We'll wait for several other trucks to come to pit road, but your first takers have hit the pits for the final, what we assume, if we go green, will be the final time on the evening. But yeah, Chris, I think this is going to set up a situation where we've got some comers and goers here in the final, 33 laps or so.
Yeah, with Jacob Bradley coming to pit road, this really puts the pressure on Nick Lucci, who is looking to pick up a win here tonight in his return to Slingshot Racing League, as Aaron Smith, really quiet night tonight out of Aaron Smith. He's going to come to pit road, bring that Hank Thomas Performance Chevrolet down and service that up. And Yeah, we'll have to see right here how long Lucci and Bechtel, Wilson, how long these guys want to stay out here on this set of tires right here and give up some time to these guys who have fresh ones.
Yeah, I think we've got a great conclusion of this race setting up here in the final 30 laps or so of the Driven Bay Life 175, and I think the driver of that Driven Bay Life truck is probably going to have something to say about it. Look at him right now going 3 wide down into turn 1. Rye Jones trying to pass a handful of cars. He knows he's got to go on those fresh tires. Rye Jones in 13th position right now. He threaded the needle. He gets by Wilson. He gets by Rapp, his teammates, and he is off to the races on those fresh tires, Chris. He knows he's got to make as much ground up on Lucci and the rest of the top 5-6 drivers if he's going to be in this thing and be in the conversation for the checkered flag here at the end of the evening. And it is showing he is a man on a mission. He's looking to get his lap back out right now from Nick Lucci as he works his way by on the outside in that Driven Bay Life number 91 out of Pensacola, Florida. Ryan Jones, Chris, I think we might be seeing him as a guy who's going to be in the conversation of maybe a handful of cars to win this thing.
Yeah, he and Johnny Rapp both are on the same lap tires right here. Actually, Johnny Rapp did come to pit road a lap sooner, it looks like, than Rye Jones. They're pretty close. I think the driver that they're going to be competing with, if it goes green to the end possibly, is Jacob Bradley. Jacob Bradley has about 3 to 4 lap fresher tires than both Jones and Rapp. And there is the driver of the 50, Jacob Bradley, trying to work his way around Evan Pienta. So he'll be looking to get his lap back next, and that could be the competition right there for the win there. Of course, Nick Lucci, I think Nick Lucci might run this thing dry here. I think he might decide that he's going to stay out until there's a caution and then come to pit road, possibly.
Ooh, a little
That
bit
was
of contact
close.
maybe there between the 50 and the number 19 of Nick Lucci and Jacob Bradley. Headed down the front straightaway into turn 1. Both red, white, and black machines on different strategies here. 88 laps on the scoreboard tonight for Slingshot Racing League in the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance. Caution is out.
Oh, man.
That is going to be a huge strategy turn. Chris, I think that is almost what Lucci wanted to see. Or am I wrong? Is there not enough laps on these tires for these guys who came into pit already?
Well, I'll be curious. The person that this is a huge disappointment for is Rye Jones, because he does not have any tires left. If you're Jacob Bradley, if you are Johnny Rapp, I think also, and I could be wrong about that, I think Jacob Bradley's got another set left. What do you do now? Like, do you decide to come to pit road? You're going to be back behind all these guys now. I think that you have to.
You have to. I think with
if you've got tires here,
laps left,
I think you got to take them. I
and
don't think that you can
what
wait.
brought this caution out on lap number 89 happened with Tony Caputo and Patrick O'Toole. Looks like Caputo was working his way by Patrick O'Toole and just got loose on the outside, kind of made a little bit of contact with the driver there, number 44, Chris, and the rest was history for Tony Caputo in that number 7, happening out of turn 3 there.
Yeah, unfortunately, our replay controls went a little bit haywire earlier, so we're without those right now at this point. So
Paint you a picture. In turn 3, one truck goes by the other truck at a much more, I think there was a tire difference between those trucks.
Yeah.
And the car making the pass on the outside just got loose. And we see Nick Lucci is going to come down pit road, Chris, in that number 19 truck for probably the final time. A couple of other drivers on pit road as well, including Scotty Sobczak. Evan Pienta also comes down. But Lucci, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I think that I'm just trying to figure out who this is going to be a big benefit for. And I'm not sure if, I think Rye Jones is going to cycle to be the leader of this thing. But I'm not sure if Randy Bechtel, Thomas Coonan, and those guys are on the lead lap. If they are on the lead lap, then they might have. I don't think they're going to be. I think that they were on pit road possibly when the caution came out.
So, yeah, I know that Coonan was looking, I think out of all those cars, I don't know. Coonan might have. No, here comes Coonan down pit road, which means he might have been on the lead lap. No, he wouldn't have been on the lead lap. He couldn't. Yeah, so Coonan was not on the lead lap.
Yeah, so I think that he was actually on pit road when the caution came out.
Yeah.
I think Randy Bechtel might have also been, or just came off pit road when the caution came out. So I think that when this cycles through, Nick Lucci is going to be in about the 4th position once we go green. Our race controller,
10 laps tires.
I think our race controller, Sam Maxwell, is probably going to have to maybe extend this caution, maybe 1 extra lap, because we have got so many drivers that are going to get waved around the pace car here.
Yeah, we're going to have a wave around, and it's going to take at least a lap for those drivers to catch back up. So we'll see what the race controller does. But, hey, one driver I do want to talk about here, 8th place, Chris, Patrick O'Toole, having a good run. He was in that incident, but he didn't really get any damage, and I think it probably worked out to his advantage. He was able to come down pit road while still on the lead lap and get those fresh tires on that number 44 truck. He is our Sim Racing Concepts Spotlight Driver of the Race. We sit down with a driver each week and ask them 5 questions. They'll appear on the little video we show. We get to learn a little bit about Patrick tonight. We'll talk more about that paint scheme here in just a minute. But, yeah, let's go ahead and hear Patrick O'Toole learn a little bit about what makes him tick.
Look at Wheel and Engineering. PB&J. Terry Labonte, past. Kyle Busch, present. Catch up only. I gotta say New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Local, and plus, I just like the way the track feels. It's unique.
All right, back here. Cool stuff to learn about. One note about that great paint scheme, Patrick O'Toole is racing in honor and kind of raising awareness for his friend Justin, who Justice, who struggles with a illness known as Prader-Willi, and real struggle for her, but we are keeping her in our thoughts and prayers and raising awareness for what is a pretty rare disease. Right now, though, Rye Jones is your leader. He's going to take the green flag. Just about 23 laps left here from Homestead-Miami. Pensacola driver Rye Jones to the lead. Johnny Rapp on the outside fighting for second place, but Nick Lucci is on the move, Chris. He has moved up into the 4th position. Jacob Bradley, I should say, is that black, red, and white machine who's on the move in the 50. But Lucci, as soon as I say that, makes a daring dive to the inside. Jacob Bradley's going to close the door on him for second position, but Lucci moves all the way up to 3rd position. The battle for the lead right now intensifies between Rye Jones and his Payday Racing teammate, Jacob Bradley. This is a tight one we've got going off into turn number 1. Another caution is out, Chris.
Yeah, we might be able to work with it here. It's not going to look pretty, but we can go back and maybe see if we can figure out what happened here.
Oh, Randy Bechtel, Cordell Lofgren, and Chris Pierce on the front straightaway coming off of turn number 4. It looks like Randy might have tried to thread the needle in the middle, and that's from my point of view. I'm not able to I'll see if I can go take a better view of it here. I don't want to accuse anyone of being at fault without knowing for sure.
Yeah. We'll look at it from the chopper view right here. As you can see, Randy Bechtel looking up the middle right here, and yeah, that hole kind of closed when Cordell Lofgren came up. They were just barely 3 wide as those drivers make some contact, and Chris Pierce looks like not sure how bad the damage is on his truck. Looks like he and Steve McDonald got together there just a little bit. Oh, our points leader, Josh Ward, looks like he got some damage as well. Don't know how serious it is. He's able to keep on going, though, and folks, just want to apologize for the state of the replay. Unfortunately, our controls went a little bit haywire, so we're having to do this through the iRacing UI, but yeah, that's hey, we had a lot of cautions tonight. So I've had a lot of replays to queue up.
I was about to say, of all nights for the replay buttons to malfunction, tonight was not the night. But hey, we're working our way through it right now, just like these drivers. And we mentioned it. We're used to going clean and green through most of these truck races, but tonight has been a challenge. I think the high speeds, maybe the draft, keeping these cars a little bit close has led to some accidents being bigger than we might be used to seeing them. Just to set up the story right now, though, Chris, 20 laps left. Rye Jones is your leader. He's on 16-lap old tires. Similar situation for Jacob Bradley in second on 13-lap old tires. And then back in third place, you've got Nick Lucci, Jeremy Gardner in fourth, Patrick Colby, Scotty Sobzak in sixth, Wesley Pistol in seventh, Sean Johnson eighth, Patrick O'Toole ninth. Those guys right now are on 6-lap old tires, so there's about a 7 to 8 lap difference or so between first and second, and then everyone else behind them all the way through ninth. So I think this is going to be an interesting kind of setup here to see how first and second, especially as this run goes on, how this kind of cycles through and what kind of speed we see the first two drivers have on slightly older tires. And one other storyline that we are following is this Dash for Cash, Chris. And right now, my scoring is showing that Patrick Colby, sitting in fifth place, is sitting in the catbird seat for that $25 bonus, maybe even $50 if he can win the race. Sean Johnson, also a Dash for Cash driver, sitting 8th. So right now, 2 Dash for Cash drivers sitting in the top 10. Those drivers were selected from the top 6 finishers at Talladega last week in that thrilling finish. If you haven't seen it, go back and check it out on our YouTube, Last Race at Talladega, or look at our YouTube shorts. We've got a reel put together with some different camera angles of what was the closest Slingshot Racing League finish ever at Talladega last week. So we've got definitely some stakes here in the final 20 laps or so at Homestead in the Driven Bay Life 175. And right now, that Driven Bay Life truck is out front. Rye Jones leading Jacob Bradley and the rest of the field, about a lap and a half away here from the restart. Chris, I don't know if we're done with the cautions tonight based on kind of what I'm seeing and the intensity that's probably going to pick up in these 20 final laps.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw more cautions, but who this is a big break for, I think, is Rye Jones. Having that caution before and now having the caution here as well, I think that this is a huge, huge break for him because it's just another, this is 2 caution periods now on this set of tires, and that this is less opportunity for Nick Lucci. You can put Jacob Bradley in the same boat, I think, as Rye Jones. This is less opportunity for Nick Lucci to take advantage of those fresh tires that he has. So I think that Nick would have liked it to go on green there at the end, from that last restart, because I think he would have had a really good shot. One thing I do want to bring attention to really, really quickly is pitting on this caution, taking on 4 tires. Johnny Rapp, he'll be restarting in the 17th position, so we're going to keep an eye back here as well. Looks like Daniel Rose, Scott Tompkins, Ryan Hinkle, Josh Ward, they all took tires there, so that's their last set for this race.
Yeah, and I don't think we ought to discount the impact that those fresh tires might have here. If we go, particularly if we go green the rest of the way, I think you tend to want a green flag stretch unless you're counting on kind of short distances to close with cautions. That might benefit Johnny Rapp if he can gain some positions on a restart and then get another caution or something like that. So, man, lots of storylines we're going to be following here. Rye Jones is your leader. Jacob Bradley second on the outside. Nick Lucci third. Jeremy Gardner is going to be fourth. Those 4 cars leading the other 29 cars, I guess, still out on the track right now. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I think we've got 34 cars on the track right now. But right now, the first 2 are Rye Jones and Jacob Bradley. It's going to be on Jones to take the green. He does in the middle of the Geico restart zone. We are back underway here at Miami. 18 laps left for the Slingshot Racing League. Lucci and Bradley doing fight for second place. Bradley, that truck on the outside. Lucci goes to the inside. He sets his sights on the leader, but Chris, we've got another caution on the track tonight. I think.
Yeah. It's like Steve McDonald, maybe.
We didn't think it was over, and we were right, unfortunately.
I misspoke. It was not Steve McDonald. It looks like Matt Kuntz, Paul Thomas involved. We'll go back right here and we'll see.
It started with Scott Tompkins, actually.
Okay, so we will.
Got loose, head into the corner. He got loose in front of Josh Ward, our points leader, who might have escaped. Paul Thomas, unfortunately, got probably the worst of that wreck along with Matt Kuntz in the number 13.
Yeah, it looks like Brandon Waldrop, Cordell Lofgren. That's another just. It never fails here at Homestead. It seems like somebody at some point during the race will always spin out on an early restart. And Scott gets loose right here. Man, Josh Ward, I think, is going to get away with it. I think there might have been some contact maybe between the 13 and the 42 there in the aftermath. Looks like maybe Kuntz got into the back of Thomas there. I think they're going to get away with it, though, and not too much damage on some of these trucks, at least, more than what they had beforehand, at least.
I think we're definitely going to see the penalty log for incident points kind of go up and creep up a little bit this week, Chris. I think we've seen our fair share of incidents. Don in the chat says this is crazy, and hey, we just have these nights. I don't think anything could add up to what we saw at New Hampshire a couple of seasons ago in the trucks.
Yeah.
We tend to try to forget about that one. But, tonight it is Homestead. These drivers are getting after it. High speeds. You got the draft. You got the opportunities to make passes. And these drivers, they're going for it out there. You got to commend them on that. But, hey, we always like clean racing. But this benefits Rye Jones.
It does.
Now, he's sitting in first place. I think the more cautions that you mentioned, the more cautions that get logged tonight, the better this is for Jones on those 21-lap-old tires now. Nick Lucci with 10-lap fresher tires behind him. I think if you're Jones, you want as many cautions as possible.
Yeah, definitely. This is definitely a big, the best-case scenario for Rye Jones here. All these cautions. I say best-case scenario also for Jacob Bradley here. As they're both around drivers that are on a little bit fresher tires than them, but at this stage, the more caution laps you run right here, that advantage that you have, if you are one of those drivers on fresher tires, it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So, if I was a driver tonight, this is one of my absolute favorite tracks to race at. I would be a little bit frustrated because there's not a place I think that's more fun than this place, like as you run a really long green flag run. So, a little bit of frustration tonight, possibly from some of the drivers, as they've feel like it's hard to get into a rhythm here when you have multiple cautions.
And it does feel like we've had a spate of cautions here the last 10 to 15 laps. Hopefully, we see that calm down. Let's throw up a few prayers and thoughts for these drivers in the final 14 laps of this race. About a lap and a half away from the restart. Chris, quick question. Talking about Jeremy Gardner. He's sitting in third place in that Sim Racing Concepts Chevy Silverado. How's your Sim Racing Concepts dash working out for you right now in your racing rig?
Oh, it's doing great. I can't believe that I waited this long before I got one. We'll see if I can actually pull it up here so everybody can see it at home. But it is a Sim Racing Concepts dash with 2 button boxes, and you have the choice if you decide to order from them which button boxes that you would like to have. Come with it. And let's see if I got it right here. I sure do.
Yeah, it's really cool because you can actually switch out the designs. Different boxes. It's essentially modular. So if you've got a NASCAR setup you want versus a road racing setup, you can pull these things in and out, left and right, whatever orientation you want. And there are no other products out there like that.
Yeah, the box that you see over there on the left-hand side, it's got an RPM bar, light bar over there that lights up. I like to call them idiot lights because those are the lights that say, hey, idiot, it's time to shift, because I really need that when I'm driving.
Hey, same here. I've missed a few gears in my lifetime, but hey, these drivers up front right now, by the way, before we get to the drivers up front, you can find out about all of our partners, including Sim Racing Concepts, and the links to their websites in the video description right now on YouTube if you're watching there. Right now, drivers looking to get the most out of those gears for the final 14 laps or so. Setting up a Slingshot Instant Classic here. Rye Jones is your leader. Nick Lucci is second. And Chris, Rye Jones is elected to take the outside, the top. Pace car is going to peel off. We're going to see if that strategy works out for Rye Jones. He mashes that throttle. We're green once again here in Miami. He's going to take Jacob Bradley with him. Lucci's got to fight hard on the inside if he's going to stay in second. Jones is going to jump down to the inside to close the door on a charging Lucci, but Bradley's going to, Chris, he's going to have a huge run off the corner. Will Jones move up to block it? He can't do anything about it. Jones just has to worry about Lucci, who's going to jump to the inside. Lucci lets off the throttle, cuts Jones a break. Jones retains the lead. Bradley up top. He's going to take the lead off the corner. Will Jones try to side draft? He doesn't. He jumps right back in line. But Lucci's got to work his way by Jones. I think if you're Lucci, it's go time right now, Chris. The driver, the number 19, has fresher tires. He can smell blood in the water on that number 50 truck. He slides into second. Jones to third. Jeremy Gardner back to fourth. Jones is going to jump to the inside of Nick Lucci. They almost make contact. Bumper to bumper there. Lucci on the inside. Jacob Bradley on the outside. I see Sean Johnson, a car in the wall further back in the field. Johnson was a Dash for Cash winner. That's going to be devastating, or a Dash for Cash racer. That's going to be devastating for him. Meanwhile, Nick Lucci jumps to the inside. We've got a battle for the lead. Less than 10 laps left at Miami. Lucci slide jump. Closes the door on Bradley. Bradley says no thank you. He gives a bump down the back straightaway. Does he return the favor to the outside into turn 3? The 50 to the outside, the 19 on the inside. He doesn't have anything for Lucci off of turn 4. Lucci with those fresh tires, Chris. He might be off to the races here in that number 19 truck for now. But Jacob Bradley, he might have something to say about it. He throws it back up top in that red, black, and white machine, but Lucci is just rolling through the center of the corner on the bottom right now. The battle for third between Jeremy Gardner and Rye Jones heats up, Chris. Jones trying to do everything he can to hold on to track position right now after being the leader on this last restart 5 laps ago.
Yeah, if you're Jacob Bradley and Rye Jones, I think you did everything that you could there. You fought really, really hard. You did everything you could. Lucci has got the fresher tires, and he's also been one of the fastest cars on the track here about the last half of this race. So not surprised at all to see him up there near the front here.
Yeah, and just looking further through the field right now, that battle for third place looks like it continues to stay hot. Single file all the way back to Patrick Colby and Aaron Smith. Right now, this is a battle for 6th position. Colby on the inside, Smith on the outside. Colby's a Dash for Cash driver right now, Chris. He is the leading Dash for Cash driver, so he's looking to claim $50 on the night if he can retain that position. But looking just a little bit further back to see his closest competitor, I don't know if he's got a close competitor by him. I think if he sticks in it, he might be pretty settled on this $25. But I'm just looking. He's losing a couple spots right now. Justin Wilson works his way to his outside. Randy Bechtel right behind them. Great racing going around all the way around the track right now. I don't know which battle to focus on, honestly. Yeah. The battle for third is pretty good right now between Rye Jones and Jeremy Gardner in that Sim Racing Concepts machine. Gardner on the inside in that red, white, and black number 5. Rye Jones on the outside. You can see the momentum that outside carries off the corner. Jones just puts up a fight every single lap on Gardner, really making it hard to pass as they work their way up to Jacob Bradley, Chris. Nick Lucci about 10 car lengths up on Jacob Bradley right now in the lead. I think this is his race to lose in that number 19 as we watch these other drivers just kind of fight for second right now.
Yeah, and we saw Jeremy Gardner clear Rye Jones right there. Looks like Jones going to try to generate some momentum if you're on the top. I don't think it's going to be enough.
Caution is going to change everything. Tony Caputo, Brady Floyd, Josh Ward, all involved in that. That is your points leader in the wall down the front straightaway.
We're going to go back here and we see what happened to Josh Ward.
What happened? It looked like it happened.
Oh, looks like Brady Floyd
loose off the corner, and that collects the points leader. Tony Caputo has nowhere to go. Innocent bystander Josh Ward kind of in that same category, Chris. Floyd lost it off the corner of that number 53 and took out a couple of cars in his wake on lap number 111. This is most certainly going to set up a green-white checker between Lucci, Bradley, Gardner, and Jones, as well as Scotty Sobczak. Chris, this has been a race of attrition tonight in a way that I don't think any of us probably expected out there. So,
well, let's we'll talk about the wreck here real quick. Yeah, it looks like some initial contact between Jay Leach and Brady Floyd got Brady Floyd loose and out of shape. Unfortunately, Josh Ward just nowhere to go. Tony Caputo gets collected as well. Yeah, you mentioned it. A race of attrition tonight, unfortunately, for the Slingshot Racing League.
I was talking to our race controller, Sam, and just to offer a little bit of insight, I know this is a video game, but it's also a simulator. I think a lot of people take for granted how difficult even these virtual race cars are to drive, and I've been told by our race director that a lot of the drivers are saying these setups are loose, very loose out there, and I think we're seeing the impact of that tonight.
And I think you saw it in that crash right there. That's just some side-to-side contact that, Brady Floyd would have been able to get away with probably if the setup was not as loose as it was. So I think that you definitely saw that in that crash right there as that little bit of contact caused that crash.
Yeah, and we are going to be seeing a green-white checker, and I think we might see some contact because we saw some close racing for Nick Lucci to get by Jacob Bradley, but right now Bradley lets those tires cool down, and you never know what might happen here. And hey, Jeremy Gardner, Chris, he's on the same tire strategy as Nick Lucci, so let's not count the driver of the number 5 Sim Racing Concept Silverado out of this. He's got 23-lap-old tires along with Nick Lucci right now 24-lap-old tires.
Well,
so yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that this brings up a really good point. If you're watching here on your screen, unfortunately, it looks like as soon as I was about to bring that, there he's back, Nick Lucci's back right here. If you want to be fast here at Homestead-Miami Speedway in the Slingshot Racing League, you need to be driving a red, white, and black truck. Because
top three
drivers tonight are in red, white, and black trucks. But yeah, I think that's a great point that you bring up. Jeremy Gardner's been fast all night. I think that all this rash of cautions that we've had right here hasn't really been able to, make those tires work like he needs to. I think at this point, it's gonna be hard for him to do anything with Nick Lucci unless something happens. Lucci makes a mistake here or something like that. Just because we've got so many laps here, and Lucci has had just such a really, really good truck here tonight.
Yeah, Lucci has been on a rail, as they say, working his way around this track. Definitely the fastest truck on the speedway tonight. Just a reminder, hey, if you have not liked this video on YouTube, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Doesn't cost you a single thing. I know we've had some cautions, but show your driver some love by hitting that thumbs up button, subscribing to the channel if you have not already done so for live racing every single week. We're getting ready to add a Wednesday night series coming up here in March. More about that later on next week, Chris, but it's going to be interesting to watch Wednesday night series. Bit of a different change of pace for our Slingshot drivers coming up here in just over a month. So stay tuned for more details about that. You'll be able to get your racing fix on Wednesday nights now as well. But hey, this thing is not over right now. Nick Lucci is your leader. Jacob Bradley is second. Jones is going to be scored in 4th. I believe it's showing him in 3rd right now. But Jeremy Gardner is in 3rd. Rye Jones in 4th. And then Patrick Colby, Dash for Cash driver, sitting 5th. He might want to go after that $50 bonus. He has 25-lap-old tires as well. So several drivers sitting here on new tires compared to the rest of the field. I think we're going to be seeing some intensity pick up in a way that we haven't even seen to this point, which scares me a little bit. But, Mark Lucci says all over but the crying right now. I think there's going to be some crying after the race, whether it's me and Chris or some of these drivers. Not sure yet, but the pace car getting ready to peel off, hopefully for the last time. It's going to be on Lucci to hit that throttle. He does so. We are green. He gets a great jump on Bradley, Gardner, and Jones. He's got to just hold on for 2 laps. Jacob Bradley jumps to the outside to see if he can do anything here. He doesn't have anything for Lucci. Jeremy Gardner going to try to close the door. He can't do it on the inside. That might have been an opportunity if Gardner had it to be able to get by Lucci here in a couple of corners. Lucci single file in the lead, but the battle is double wide for second place. If they make it to the white flag, we finish under green. I think we're going to make it. Lucci takes the white flag in that number 19. Chris Gardner is coming with a head of steam.
He's got to push.
He's being pushed by the number 50 of Bradley. He goes high, Lucci low. Is he going to get a run off the corner and make this thing interesting? I think he's going to rely on the draft down the backstretch and take one last crack at it. I don't know if he's got the speed to be able to do it, Chris, in one final corner. He throws it in hard, but Gardner doesn't have enough. Nick Lucci in the number 19 in his 5th race is going to win in Slingshot Racing League here at Miami. Crash down the front straightaway. Couple drivers in the wall, but the top 3 are going to be Nick Lucci, Jeremy Gardner, and Jacob Bradley. Chris, you mentioned it's a great night to be in Slingshot colors in red, white, and black. Your top 3 podium finishers sporting similar colors. Rye Jones finishes 4th. Johnny Rapp, Chris, brought home a top 5 after working his way back up on fresh tires. Patrick Colby is officially the Dash for Cash winner. A little bit of extracurriculars, Chris, after the race. I'm looking to see, I think I saw someone potentially take a swipe. Got a little bit of tempers going on between the number 2 and the number 91 of Rye Jones. Not sure what that was about, but those drivers going to have to take it up with each other after the race. Chris, that was a great finish. Green-white checker. We made it to the end without another caution. Lucci takes win number 1 on the season in his first race back with Slingshot Racing. So we're going to hear from the top 3 in just a moment. We'll be in Bradley, Gardner, and Lucci and hear from what their race looked like out on the track tonight. Give us just a second to get that queued up. All right, we're going to hear from Jacob Bradley first. We'll bring him in. Jacob Bradley, driver the number 50. This is Ellis and Chris in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy, my friend?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, it's past my bedtime. It's probably getting close to yours. That was a long race. Lots of action, in quotes, out on the track tonight. Great job finishing 3rd. I know you were on a different tire strategy. Had a little bit older tires towards the end of this race tonight. How much of a difference did that make in your ability to kind of hang with Nick Lucci and Jeremy Gardner?
I just didn't have the grip that they had at the end there. I was on, I think, 5 or 6 lap older tires, and just added up. Got a little bit unlucky with that caution under everybody got trapped. I was fortunate to not get trapped there, but really unlucky there. Allowed them to get ahead of us, and it went from there. I'm happy with the 3rd, though. It's been a bad few weeks. Glad I was able to get to finish one of these things.
What did you think about the amount of cautions we saw? What do you think? I know you probably couldn't see every incident, but did you get a sense based on what you're hearing from drivers or just kind of what you're observing as to maybe why we saw the level of difficulty out there tonight?
The trucks it kind of levels the playing field a bit more, so everybody wants to drive as hard as they can. They get aggressive, and tonight's setup was a little bit loose, so by a little bit of pushing, somebody's up top, somebody's on bottom, come together, and then a caution happens. Just kind of what the product of it is when the trucks being as slow as they are.
Man, you stayed out of that most of the night. You led some laps. You brought it home 3rd. I know you padded your point situation just a little bit, looking to get back into championship form. You know, the way we saw you last season in the Apex Energy Series and those B cars, the Xfinity cars. Before we let you go celebrate that podium, you got any shout-outs tonight, Jacob?
Yeah, I want to thank my team. Kind of a better group of guys with me. I want to thank Evan for putting together this scheme. It's not a real thing. It's a joke right now, so maybe it'll be a thing in the future. Who knows? I want to thank my parents for watching, you guys for doing the broadcast, and all the Slingshot's partners.
All right, man. We appreciate you. Jacob Bradley, 3rd place finisher tonight. Have a good evening. Go celebrate that 3rd place finish.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and bring in Jeremy Gardner, your second place finisher on the evening.
Jeremy Gardner, driver of the Sim Racing Concept Chevy. This is Slingshot Booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Man, first off, we had that truck looking nice and beautiful out on the track here tonight. Looking a little bit better than it did last week. And you brought home a great second place finish. Talk to us about your night. It looked like you had speed there. I think the rash of cautions that you had there at the end might have hurt you a little bit. Is that what you felt as well?
Yeah, I thought they were going to hurt me. I was trying to kind of be smart on the tire strategy with 3 sets. This track's a little rough on tires, so I was a little worried when they kept coming out because I think a couple of them had a 3rd set. So I was just like, if this caution flies with 10 to go, somebody's going to pit and they're going to come right around us. But no, I tried to be smart with my tire saving all night. I mean, I had a blast. I mean, racing side by side with everybody. Jacob and Rye gave me a hell of a run right there just to get by him. But overall, that was a great race.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch, and if those cautions would not have come out like they did there in probably about the last 30 laps or so, it looks like, you and Nick Lucci were, you guys had the same, laps on your tires right there. You guys, that caution fell pretty well for you guys. If we would have went green from that point forth, do you think maybe you could have done something with him?
It would have been close. Like you said though, Nick had pace all night. I had a decent pace. I mean, he was a little faster than I was. I was just trying to hold pace and just hold on to my tires so I could have something on a long run. But we didn't really get much of that. So, I mean, overall though, I ain't got nothing to complain about. This is probably the best finish I've had all year, and I was just shooting for a good finish tonight. Would have liked to have won, but I'm happy with it.
Definitely a great result. Bringing home a second place finish, great podium result. Any shout outs that you want to give before we let you go here tonight?
Yeah, man. Shout out to Evan for the paint scheme. Looks great on the broadcast every week. And shout out to y'all for putting the broadcast on. Yeah, it didn't look that great last week, that's for sure. I was a little mad about that. But yeah, shout out to y'all for the broadcast. Y'all always put on an amazing broadcast. And I appreciate everything y'all do for the league.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you showing up every single week, driving hard, and giving us a lot to talk about there on the track. That's Jeremy Gardner, second place finisher tonight, driver of that Sim Racing Concept Chevy. Go celebrate this podium finish, bud.
Appreciate it, guys. See you next week.
Yes, sir. All right, going to bring in Nick Lucci in the broadcast booth now. He is your winner tonight in that number 19 truck. Nick Lucci, it's Ellis and Chris in the Slingshot broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you, bud.
Hey, man. First race back this season, race number 5. We talked about it in pre-race. I said, did you know that out of the 4 races you've run with us, you've finished in the top 5 75% of the time? And you said, man, now that's a lot of pressure. I'm probably going to wreck on the first lap. Well, you didn't wreck on the first lap, and you didn't wreck on any of the laps. You, in fact, brought it home in victory lane. It was definitely a race for sure. I think we saw a lot of strategy calls that could have gone wrong and did go wrong for some drivers. But it went right for you on that particular final pit cycle where you ended up with fresher tires than a lot of those guys who have been fast running with you all night long. Walk us through kind of your strategy call in that gamble you took early on by staying out.
Yeah, man, for sure. Obviously strategy wasn't going to be straightforward. I just knew, I mean, even if we had a handful of cautions, I just knew that those were going to throw their own curveballs, just depending on when they showed up. But no, that full fuel run that I did, once Jacob and Rye and everyone that was behind me just started pitting, I just committed to the long run. And luckily, I mean, we got a caution, which I wouldn't really know if that really handed me the win necessarily. I knew that we were going to have a pace advantage, especially with 9-lap or 10-lap fresher tires compared to everyone. But no, we were one of the fastest cars in the long run, which I was very surprised with, for how good of a group these guys are with. This is obviously a win that I'm going to appreciate, and, obviously I'm going to love it for how good of a group this league has.
Hey, man, well, we appreciate that. High marks. I know we had our difficulties tonight with several cautions, but you had speed all night long. That battle in the closing laps, I know that Bradley in that number 50 truck told us he just did not have the grip that you did at the end, but he gave it his all, and you you did one better. You brought it home in victory lane. We're glad to have you back. And before we let you go celebrate that victory, you got any shout-outs?
Oh, absolutely. Obviously, like I said, shout out to both you and Chris for allowing me to come back. You know, obviously I didn't think that it would be this late in the season that I would make a return. I probably won't be here for the next handful of weeks. I think as of right now, it'll probably end up just being the 3-week stretch before the chase. But no, obviously, shout out Jeremy Gardner had a hell of a run on way older tires than even me, and that green white checkered was faster than me. So obviously, hats off to him. Hats off to everyone at F. Scott Motorsports that was obviously in our voice chat tonight. Shout out to Evan, Tony. I will shout out Jacob, everyone at the IEPUI gang that's here in Indianapolis. Man, this is cool. I can't lie. I didn't really think that we were going to have a lot of pace. I was going to be lucky that we were going to be top 5. And, here we are in victory lane.
And you put on a whale of a show tonight in that number 19 truck. Congratulations, Nick Lucci. First-time win in Slingshot Racing League. Go celebrate that victory.
Yep, 10-4. Have a good one, guys.
You too. All right, Chris, this was a great race. In some ways, it was a difficult race for a lot of drivers. In other ways, we saw a lot of cautions, lots of ups and downs tonight. We did have some longer green flag runs and saw some green flag pit stops, but this was a loose track. It was a loose setup. Drivers did struggle with it throughout much of the evening, and I'm sure there'll be some talking amongst drivers in the coming days leading up to next week's road course race at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. But before we get there, let's take a look at the running order as they finish tonight. We heard from Lucci, Gardner, and Bradley, your top 3. Rye Jones brought it home 4th in his Driven Bay Life truck in the Driven Bay Life 175 tonight. Johnny Rapp finished 5th. Patrick Colby's your Dash for Cash winner, takes $25 home tonight for winning. After his top 6 at Talladega last week, he qualified and went on to win it tonight. Scotty Sobczak, 7th. Randy Bechtel, 8th. I think he'll take that given how exciting this race was tonight for a lot of drivers. Wesley Pistol, involved in an early wreck, worked his way back up to 9th. Chase Berry was kind of quiet all night long, Chris, but brings it home 10th in that number 46 truck. Right behind him, Dan Rowe in the 68, Jay Leach in the Jay had a quiet night in that 22, finishes 12th. Nick DeCesare, shout out to the driver of the 00 truck, finishing 13th tonight. I think that's one of his highest finishes this season. He's got a knack for getting around Homestead, and he proved that tonight. Aaron Smith, Chris, are you surprised about the run that 70 truck had?
Yeah, a little bit. He ran pretty decent all night, but he didn't have that Aaron Smith speed that we typically see him have. And I think that a lot of that might be a result of the fact that we just didn't have a long run. I think Aaron might have been, holding on to his tires, trying to save them, and we just never had that long run tonight as we had just a rash of cautions throughout this race. Looks like Street Limit Motorsports teammates right here. Raymond Hanneman, Thomas Coonan finishing 15th and 16th. Sean Johnson, we saw him have some trouble. He is going to salvage a 17th place finish tonight. Ryan Hinkle brings it home 18th. Lee Campbell in 19th. And Justin Wilson in 20th. In the mad dash there at the end, we might not have seen what happened to Justin Wilson there in those final few laps.
Yeah, I do believe he definitely had some contact. I think he was one of the cars that had issues coming to the checkered flag. Picking up with 21st, Patrick O'Toole had a strong run going towards the end. I think he had some trouble also in those closing laps, but still a solid 21st place finish, carrying that special paint scheme for his friend Justice on board tonight. Great run for Patrick O'Toole. Steve McDonald, we saw him have some trouble. Finishes 22nd. Matt Kuntz brings it home 23rd. Saw him in a late race caution. A lot of these drivers we're talking about now did get involved in some of those numerous cautions we had tonight. Brady Floyd, 24th. Chris Pierce had a good run going before he got involved in a caution. Finishes 25th. 26th, Paul Thomas had an 11th place run at Talladega last week. Probably disappointed with 26th tonight. Chris, here's the big story. Here's the lead. 27th place, Josh Ward. He was your points leader. I think we're going to see that flip-flop once again with Randy Bechtel probably going back to the point. Josh Ward at least slipping back to second place. So we'll keep an eye on that. Check our social media for a points update later on in the week. Evan Pienta finishes 28th. Larry Poling brings home a top 30 in 29th. Dan Berg in 30th. I saw him upset with Rye Jones towards the end of the race. We're going to have to find out what that was about. Tony Caputo, involved in a couple of incidents tonight, finishes 31st. Scott Tompkins, I know we saw him fighting his way back, but he brought out a late caution with a kind of one of those slow and lazy spins that were easy to happen tonight. So Scott finishes 32nd.
If you follow along also in the YouTube chat, breaking news, you might have already seen this. Apparently, after his spin, Scott Tompkins did remark that his kid pushed the power button on his computer. My only hope is that he was streaming at the time so that we could get another good meme
Definitely
out of that.
Meme-worthy material, surely, from that.
Tough break for him.
Brandon, tough break for Brandon Waldrip. Following up a great performance in Talladega with not the finish to show for it last week. Waldrip again. Doesn't have the finish to show for some speed he had tonight. Finishes 33rd. Cordell Lofgren, his first race back in Slingshot Racing League, finishes 34th. James Danforth finishes 35th, and he mentioned in the chat this is going to put a dent in his Apex Energy Hard Charger lead in terms of average positions gained over the course of the race. That's going to be a -5 for him tonight, losing 5 spots, Chris. So not the average gain we're used to seeing from him. And then last but not least, my clicker is Jacob Chase, who brought out the first caution of the night in that number 43. And Chris, caution was the word of the night. Unfortunately, tonight we saw some drivers benefit from it. Other drivers definitely the cautions befell many drivers tonight. 36 who started the race, several of those involved in incidents. But the guy on top, Nick Lucci, in his 5th race with Slingshot Racing League, brings it home to victory lane. Chris, next week we're making some right turns at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for the first time in one of 2 road course races this season. And we've seen these road course tracks put on some pretty good shows in Slingshot Racing League seasons past. I don't suspect Canadian Tire Motorsports Park is going to be anything to sleep on next week. Oftentimes drivers take weeks off, fans take weeks off, but in real life we've seen some crazy finishes coming off the final couple of corners in these trucks at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and I think we're going to be looking forward to seeing some of those next week as well. Any words of wisdom, Chris, before we take it off the air tonight from Miami?
Just, tune in next week. Like you said, a lot of times people will take weeks off for road courses. We have some really, really good road course racers in Slingshot Racing League. Some really, really quality ones. And I think they're going to put on a great show. The competition up in the top 5 is probably going to be really, really fierce. So tune in next week. This is a little bit different, night to night here at Homestead-Miami Speedway than what we typically see here in Slingshot with the amount of cautions that we had. But when we were racing under green, I thought the racing was amazing. I thought it was great, and I can't wait to get back after it next week when we go north of the border to tackle those right and left-hand turns.
We absolutely will be north of the border next week. Same time, same channel, 8:30 Eastern Time, Slingshot Racing League. We appreciate everyone joining us in the chat or just in YouTube or Twitch tonight. We do it for you. We do it for the drivers, and we can't wait to do it again next week. For Ellis Thomas and Chris Smith in Slingshot Racing League, so long from Miami, everyone. Have a great evening and a great week.